Am I the asshole for wanting to buy a house alone because my boyfriend doesn't want to rent? My boyfriend inherited his small 3-bed family home with his sister because their parents both passed away. The sister originally wasn't living there but moved back after a failed relationship. It's been over a year, but the sister still won't save up the money to buy my boyfriend out and refuses to sell their half. If she'd sell to me, then there wouldn't be a problem as I could move in. I'm currently living on my own in a 2-bed rental. One room is my bedroom, one is a home office which I need for work, and I want to start living with my boyfriend. He has a young daughter he has shared custody of, so I understand my house is too small, and there's no room for me now in his house as his sister is living there. He has a small amount saved and I have a larger amount saved to put into a deposit. But if his sister eventually decides to save up money to buy him out, then he'll have tens of thousands. We may also be charged a large additional fee as he owns a property already, and part of that would have to come out of my deposit savings because he currently doesn't have enough. We've been looking at buying a house together already, but he doesn't drive and currently walks just 5 minutes to work, so I'm limited in the areas he's willing to consider a property in. I would also much prefer parking space, but this is hard to get with the properties in these areas, and unfortunately the location he requires also cuts down our options to the more dangerous areas of the city. The topic has triggered a few arguments and made me wary about committing to buying together just yet. I've brought up renting a modern 3-bed house just so we can make sure the relationship is rock solid before committing to buying. He's on a much higher wage than me but says no as he thinks it's a waste paying rent when he already owns his family house and will no longer be able to afford saving up money for a deposit, as he'll be splitting rent with me instead of saving in a mortgage-free house, though he does spend up to $200 a month on online casino games. I'm no angel with spending too, though I like traveling, so always trying to save money to go places. I've said I'll try buy a cheaper 3-bed house myself in a reasonably close area so he can move in with his daughter, but no fear of things going wrong and either of us losing a home. He'd move back to the family house and I'd keep my bought house, and eventually he could go on the mortgage if we were definitely happy, or buy somewhere else together in a couple years. He says no as it wouldn't be half his originally and feels I'm taking the choice away from him. Which is something I do understand must sound unfair. I've made it clear renting together sounds like the most sensible option to make sure everything will work out, but always get a no when I bring it up. Therefore, with the buying market being really good at the moment, I am now considering buying my own house to get on the property ladder before it's too late, and I can't afford it alone if we ever break up. I can't save any more money because of the cost of renting alone. Just 2 bedrooms in an area I like, and then selling when we're ready to buy together and he has a bit more money to put into it, or his sister buys his half of the house. My argument is he currently lives 5 minutes walk away from me and still only stays at my house maybe once a week, as it adds 2 minutes onto his walk to work, so it wouldn't really make any difference to how often we see each other. This has upset him a bit as I'm going into it alone. He wants me to wait in my rental property until we decide we're ready to buy together. I have no idea what to do. I feel awful for not including him, but I don't want to risk buying together when we're arguing so much about it and I'm unhappy using my life savings on a property I don't like. If we got a more expensive house and eventually broke up, then we'd have to sell and I might be made homeless or put back into a rental, as he'd still have his family house or the money from it to buy somewhere else immediately. Our friends keep suggesting renting, but he doesn't want to, which I fully understand as well. I'm lonely living alone and I know that's my own problem, but he rarely stays at my rental house anyway, so feel I may as well be lonely in my own bought house and be a bit better off with money too, with mortgage payments being lower than rent. Am I the asshole? Please be honest. I'm going crazy trying to work out if I'm being horrible with him. Edit. He has been pointing out houses, but the 2 he picked were both in bad areas I wasn't happy with. I did agree to view one of them anyway, but he sensed I didn't like it as we walked past it one day and it sparked a huge argument. That's why I'd said it was a bad idea for us to buy together just yet. Edit. His sister irritates him and he's sick of living with her. But she bought a car on finance and he said he'll give her until the end of her lease and then start properly saving. Which I can understand. NTA, and you should really consider if someone who is unwilling to compromise in any way is someone you want to spend the rest of your life with. Not the asshole. Look, he hasn't made a clear commitment to you, just lots of hypothetical promises. If owning a property is important to you and the payments are less than rent, go for it. You can't wait around for a guy who hypothetically should, could, or would. It sounds like he and his sister aren't in any hurry to finalize their financial arrangements, and she's clearly in no hurry to move. Not the asshole. Don't let this dude drag you down. It seems he wants everything on his terms. I'd advise you to do what's best for you alone financially at this moment. Buy a house that suits your needs best. I wouldn't even consider his right now. I think it's a bad idea buying a house together in your situation, especially as you're not married and his finances seem a little complicated. On top of him being extremely selfish. Buy your own house. If need be, you can rent it to someone else while you move in with your boyfriend. But definitely buy your own place. Why WNBTA for doing this? It's just sensible financial prudence. Not the asshole buy your own home. He sounds super stuck in his ways and controlling. Not the asshole your problem is easy to fix. There is nothing like having your own. Buy a house for yourself. You can look at short sales and even ones where people failed to pay taxes or abandoned ones if you're trying to find something less expensive in a good neighborhood. But buy a home that fits your liking, not his. Then, if you do decide to buy something together, you can always rent it out as extra income or sell it. You both aren't married, which is good. His family home is something he and his sister shares, and if she hasn't tried leaving or buying him out yet, she probably has no intentions because the house may be sentimental. That's for him to work out with his sister and shouldn't factor into your decision. Good luck. So you have offered several solutions and he has just shot them all down. If he really wanted to make this happen, then he could. He could legally force her to either sell the house, buy him out, or allow him to buy her out, but he isn't. He could move out with you and sublet his portion, but he won't. Not the asshole. If he wanted this, then he would make it work. He would get a license so that he could drive, or he would make other changes. Honestly, I have waited for men like these, and it just wasn't worth it in the end. You have a good head on your shoulders and you are young. Buy a house that you can afford. Putting your life on the back burner while he wastes your time is not fair to you. NTA honestly, since he's your boyfriend not your husband, I don't think he gets a say in how you go about it. You made compromise, he refused. Do what you want. Am I the asshole for not allowing my daughter to date a boy she likes? Our 15-year-old daughter, Lisa, recently informed my wife that she was asked out by a popular boy, Rick, at school. Rick is 17 and Lisa mentioned that he would be turning 18 next month. My daughter has never dated anyone before, and I was understandably apprehensive about the age difference. However, that's not why I decided that I did not want them to date. Our 17-year-old son is in Rick's class and was friends with him until last year. They'd had a falling out, but asked why, as I figured it was none of my business. After I heard that my daughter had made plans to go on a date with Rick, I asked my son what he thought of Rick and if I was right to be concerned that he had suddenly showed interest in our daughter. Our son immediately started to beg me to forbid Lisa from dating Rick because Rick is no good. He proceeded to tell me all kinds of horrible things about Rick, particularly stories about how he had mistreated girls he had dated over the last 2 years. He also mentioned that Rick had been dealing drugs in school the year before, but had apparently stopped this year because he was worried about getting caught and losing his scholarships. He's a star athlete on the basketball and football teams. The issue I have is that my son tends to tell lies and make up stories about people he doesn't like. We've caught him doing this before about other people, and about his sister when he was mad at her. Rick and my son were friends because they'd played sports together growing up, but Rick kept getting bigger and better, whereas my son stopped growing around age 15 and then was cut last year from the football and basketball teams. I have some suspicion that he is jealous of Rick, which is why he doesn't want Lisa to date him. I tossed and turned all night trying to decide what to do, talked it over with my wife, and we decided that we have issues with the age difference, plus there is the chance that what our son was saying about Rick is at least partially true. This morning we told Lisa that we don't want him to go on a date with Rick this weekend. She immediately started screaming at us, and accused me of being a racist. Rick is black and we're white, and said that she was going to date him, secretly, anyway. We've grounded her for the weekend and taken away her phone so that she can't get in touch with him outside of school. The problem is that I now feel like an maybe subconsciously the reason I believed my son's stories was due to some racial bias I am unaware of? Maybe I should let my daughter make her own mistakes now that she's 15? So am I the asshole for forbidding our daughter from dating Rick? Edit. To answer some questions that were asked in the comments. 1. Lisa turned 15 last month. She's not, almost 16 inches. However, after talking to my daughter some more, I was mistaken about Rick. He's not turning 18 next month, he's turning 18 in January. 2. I took Lisa's phone because she was being very disrespectful to her mother and I when we tried to talk to her about our concerns about her dating Rick. She refused to discuss our concerns with us, swore at me repeatedly and accused me of being racist, and threatened to date him anyway. Taking her phone away and grounding her for the weekend seemed like a reasonable punishment considering how she talked to us. We took her phone away so that she wouldn't spend the weekend texting with Rick and her friends from school, which is how she already spends most of her weekends when she's not grounded. 3. The reason I talked to my son about Rick is because they were best friends for years and then suddenly had a falling out last year. It's not because I'm some misogynist, as some people have accused me of being. I wanted to know why my son seemed to suddenly really hate Rick, out of concern for my daughter's well-being. My son had some really disturbing things to say about Rick, most of which I cannot mention here due to the rules of the sub. However, my son has been known to exaggerate in the past, so my concern is that he wasn't being entirely truthful, or passing on rumors as fact, due to his hatred of Rick. However, he's not a pathological liar as some people are stating in the comments. 4. We live in Ontario, Canada. The drinking age is 19 here, but we live near the Quebec border. High school kids traditionally go across the border to drink, or to buy booze and bring it back to Ontario, once they turn 18. This really isn't a huge concern of mine, because if my daughter is going to drink underage, she'd do it with or without Rick. 5. My wife and I are going to talk to Lisa again later today about the situation. We're also going to look into some of the allegations that were made about Rick by our son, and we'll talk to Rick if we do decide to let our daughter date him. Here's my question. Do you trust your daughter? You can try and keep her away from him, but teenagers are, well, teenagers. She goes to school with him. If she really wants to see him, she will find a way. If you trust your daughter and know she will make good choices, then I'd let her at least hang out with him. Maybe have him over or let her do a group hangout, if that's still even a thing. I personally don't see 2 years as a huge difference, so I'd let her go on a date but set some rules. Rules that would make you feel better about her being out with him, her checking in, know where they will be, etc. She is 15. I don't think you're the just a protective and caring parent. Not the asshole. Nah and PLS read even though it's long. You're not the asshole, but don't forbid her from dating him. It'll drive her closer to him. As someone who was once a 15-year-old girl, forbidden love is all the more tempting. Let her go out with him but have strict rules. Home by 9 p.m. He can only be over when you're home, etc. If you forbid her, she'll shut you out and won't come to you if a man does treat her poorly. Just make her feel safe and secure so if she dates him and it goes south, she can come to you or your wife. And just talk to her about what kind of behavior is or isn't acceptable in relationships. You are the asshole because you're basing this decision, in large part, off the word of a known liar. I would have said no due to the age difference and her never dating before. That alone, to me, is enough of a reason. But if it's not for you, that's fine. But then you need a real reason, something that you know is true. Your reason needs to be because it's something you know firsthand or it comes from a reliable source, which your son isn't. You are the asshole. So instead of speaking with your daughter, you, the misogynist, decided your son who lies is a better choice to render a decision concerning his sister. Could you be more condescending? Why do you not trust that you raised a strong daughter, or are you admitting you didn't? That you couldn't have the talk about boundaries, bullying and sexual pressure? You've just proved to her you trust and respect the son you admit lies over her. I mean, not the asshole, but you do know she's going to see him behind your backs, right? Wouldn't you rather be able to keep an eye on them by having them hang at your house rather than wondering if she's with him every time she says she has plans with a friend or skipping classes to be together? As a former teenage girl, Rick has probably just become 10 times more attractive to your daughter now that he's forbidden. Why don't you allow her to invite Rick over and you can get to know him while they hang out under your roof? Then you can decide for yourselves. You are the asshole. And an idiot. You're trusting a known liar. Are you sure it isn't the son that did those things? I'm telling you right now how it sounds to your daughter. That son told you he wasn't comfortable and decided to tell lies, and you picked his comfort and believed him despite his history. You're creating resentment and sneakiness. A dangerous combination. Invite Rick and your daughter for a talk without your son. Talk with them about what the brother said. This is the best way to protect your daughter. Whether you know it or not, you are acting in a deeply misogynistic way. You are trusting your son's word, even though you know he lies, over your daughter's. You are sending her the message that she is silly, untrustworthy of trust and respect, and that her feelings don't matter. And you punished her for getting upset. How have you punished your son for lying? Why aren't you making more of an effort to get to know Rick? Are you planning on giving her phone back at all? If not, you've cut her off from her social network. Your behavior is really problematic and, in your desire to protect your daughter, you're privileging your son, infantilizing her, and pushing her away. You are the asshole. Am I the asshole for not sharing first prize? I, male, 30, took part in a Magic the Gathering tournament 2 weeks ago. A pre-release for the new set. Admittingly, it has been maybe 6 years since I last played, but I seek to get back into playing at a local game store I haven't played it before. The tournament gave you 6 packs of cards to build a deck of 40 out of then, and it was a brand new set, meaning everyone was pretty much on the same playing field. No advantages or disadvantages other than luck of the draw and knowledge of the game. To say the 6 packs I was given were gold would be an understatement. 3 mythic cards, one of which was holographic, and 4 of the same card pretty much guaranteed my victory of the whole thing. I kind of feel bad about how exactly one-sided the matches were, but I was out of practice and could have easily made a mistake. The final round I was competing for first and second place. The one I was playing against, Chad, offered to just name me the winner without playing against each other, as he was certain I would win. We would split the prize pool of first and second prize, both of us getting 10 packs each. If I won fair and square, I would have got 12 packs, while losing would mean I only got 8 packs. Since I was more there for fun and just to get back into the game, I denied the offer. I thought this would be okay, because it still gave him a chance to win more packs than he expected. To his credit, he did win one round due to a poor draw on my half, but in the end I won the match and the 12 packs. My prize packs were meh, and I asked Chad if he got anything good. Would have got better stuff if we shared. Ook? Next week, I went to the draft that was being held at the same location. I learned that they played a format I still have legal decks for, Commander, so I wanted to join in a few matches before the main event. The table, which included Chad, refused to let me play. It was discouraging, but I let it slide. Just awkwardly stood around and watched. This week, I went back again hoping to play, but I was told the following. This is word for word. You're a good player, but we feel you take the game too seriously to play with us. Your deck during the pre-release was too competitive, and you could have just shared the prize with Chad, but instead you made him feel bad. I am at a loss. They are saying I am too competitive, but they started talking about traveling 2 provinces over to participate in Grand Prix. I'm just going to have fun, but I feel like a fish out of water. Last week I got absolutely devastated at the draft and still had a lot of fun, but now I am feeling bad for winning the tournament the first time I participated. Maybe I broke some sort of unwritten rule or cliché or something, but I feel uncomfortable going back. I don't know, but I want to ask before I try another gaming store. Am I the asshole? Edited to add. Some people are asking about the store owners. They are wonderful people and were the official judges of the event. During the second week I was there, they actually gave me free cards after I shown my commander deck. They were the ones who directed me towards Chad's table and his friends. One of them quite an old card, Zombie Master, but someone was stupid enough to do their own custom full art on a $50 card and the store legally couldn't sell it competitively. But they said it should still be good if I have it in a sleeve. They are also on the lookout for a Chancellor of the Forge for my Goblin deck. When I approached the table, and asked if I could join, they said they were at capacity. The owner said they could split off into 2 groups of 3, but they refused, staying in one group of 5 and one group of 4. Rather than going down next Friday, I am heading down tomorrow and ask the judges what's up, and see if they have any more insight. The store owners, I really don't want to hold this against them because they seem like wonderful people. Will update when I have an answer. Not the asshole. You won the game, fair and square. Chad here is just being a sore loser. I'd check around and see if any of your other local shops have games going. Might find a better crowd. Not the asshole. Chad is clearly part of their little clique and they got sore that you won. Not the kind of crowd you want to be around, buddy. Time to find another crew. Besides, what the hell is this logic? You're gonna win anyways. Let's call you the winner and have you share the prize with me. Was he 10 yo or something? I'll be honest, I don't play Magic, but I did play Yu-Gi-Oh for a couple of years and did some local tourneys, and it sounds like those guys were just pissy that you won. Assuming it's as you said and everyone had to play with the same random card packs instead of their normal decks, then yeah, you definitely are not the asshole for not calling a draw. Not the asshole. But I have the sneaking suspicion that the reason they don't want you back is not because you refuse to split the prize. You're a good player, but we feel you take the game too seriously to play with us. Maybe you'd fare better on more competitive venues. Not the asshole. Chad's offer wasn't much of a compromise, it benefited him far more than you, and you were under no obligation to agree. You didn't do anything wrong, but it sounds like they're more interested in getting the prizes than having fun, so it won't benefit them at all to play someone better than them. Find a new group to play with. Info. Is it just that one group that doesn't want to play with you, or are you not being allowed to play in the events at all? Not the asshole. Find out where Chad and his buddies' next tournaments are going to be. Sign up to be their competition. Kick their asses again. Not the asshole. If in the off chance that he did win, you wouldn't have held it against him. He made an offer that he felt was advantageous to him only. Since you said he felt certain you were going to win, then to him it was a matter of getting 10 packs or 8 packs. In the end, it is a game that are meant for you to have fun and not just about getting the prizes. They don't want you to play means they are competitive and doesn't like losing. Not the asshole. I've played in a few MTG tournaments, my ex was really into it. Splitting first is fairly common but in no way expected. Especially in a tournament, save that shit for casual games. Chad was a sore loser and frankly out of his mind to think that you owed him 2 of your packs. Find a better store and a better group to play with. Would I be the asshole for wanting an autistic kid's parents to pay for damages? I'll preface by saying this is a throwaway account. Earlier today I, 22M, had parked my car in my apartment complex and was waiting to pick a friend up. As I waited, a kid who looked maybe 7-8 on a bicycle came in between my car and another car and scratched the side on a handlebar. The gap between the 2 cars was pretty narrow and the opposite side was wide open, so I was taken aback by it. I tried to call him back but he drove past without hearing me. So I waited for him to come back and stood in front of him and asked him in a ticked-off tone what his apartment number was, so that I could speak to his parents. But he seemed distracted and something seemed a little off. He kinda started to make odd whining sounds and whistles, and I realized he could be autistic or stressed out, so I tried to calm him down a bit. I changed the tone of my voice and tried to ask if his parents were nearby. He was on his own and our apartment complex's interior is a safe area. Or if he could tell me which block he was in. He seemed to calm down a little, but wanted me to hold onto his handlebars and basically let the cycle drop between his legs if I didn't hold it. He told me his house number, and I made sure he was all right and able to balance again before my friend came and we needed to leave. Unfortunately, my car now has a 8-9 cm, around 3-inch, scratch on the right rear door and it'll cost me a bit to repair it. I can afford the repair, but I thought it was only fair if the kid's parents reimbursed me for it. I mentioned this to my mom, who told me that it wasn't the kid's fault, so I should be more sympathetic to the parents. While I do sympathize and don't really blame the kid, I said that it wasn't really fair for me to have to pay for the repair when it happened through no fault of mine. I plan to meet the parents tomorrow, and while I think I'm not being unreasonable, I wanted a second opinion. Update. Thank you all for taking the time to comment. I'll meet the parents tomorrow and as planned I'll be as courteous and understanding as possible with them. I don't really blame the kid and I was worried if he might have been too scared when I asked him about his parents, but at the end he did basically hold on to me and want me to hold his cycle up for him instead of letting me leave, so I think he had probably felt more comfortable. I understand that I am making an assumption that he may be autistic. I don't really have much experience with autism, but I have a cousin who has cerebral palsy and autism, so I tried to speak with him in an even tone. I don't think I sounded angry as much as cross, but I think I was able to get that out of my voice at the end. I'm aware that his parents are well off, due to the neighborhood we live in and the costs of living here. Regardless, I don't think I'll be asking them to pay the full amount. I've done my fair share of property damage playing football, soccer, as a kid, so it's probably karma too lol. I will however buy a couple of chocolates for the kid and take note of how his parents react and try to paint the situation as positively as I can for him. I don't think they would punish him severely or disproportionately, but I'll keep in mind some of the advice suggested. Like I'd mentioned earlier, our apartment is a pretty safe place, so I think the parents were a little more comfortable having him unsupervised, but I'll mention that this could be a little problematic in the future. In response to a few comments, firstly, no, I'm not American. I'm Indian and this happened in Chennai, India. Secondly, my question was in the context of whether or not I'd be an ass to ask for reimbursement when fixing the damage caused. While the scratch may not be too much to you, it is to me, so it's my call to fix it, and that's not something I'm gonna say is a mistake. So yeah. Thank you Reddit, and I hope you all stay safe and healthy. Not the asshole. Autistic children don't get a free pass to do damage to others' belongings. They need direction, structure, love and discipline just like any other kid. At the very least inform the parents so that they know their child needs supervision while bike riding in the parking lot. Not the asshole. A child having a disability doesn't give parents a free card to evade damages their child may do. He did the damage and he is under 18, so his parents are responsible for paying that. As his parents, they know or should that accidents will happen, and as parents they have to be responsible for their child. Emo. People who are not used to being around those with disabilities can sometimes be unsure of how to respond to things. But just treat people with disabilities how you would anyone else while keeping in mind the situation as a whole. Not the asshole. Unsure why autism matters. A kid on a bike damaged your car. The parents need to pay. It's not a complicated question. Those types of repairs are expensive and it doesn't make sense to claim insurance because premiums go up. Not the asshole. If he's damaging people's cars, you probably aren't the only one. You need to tell his parents and have them pay for it so they know they need to keep a closer eye on him. You are a good person and had patience with him. Not everyone will react so pleasantly to vehicle damage. Not the asshole. The child needs supervision. The expense of not supervising the child shouldn't fall on you. Not the asshole. As long as you are reasonable when you approach the parents, there is nothing wrong with asking them to pay. Not the asshole. Autistic or not, his parents should pay for damages because it's the responsible thing to do. Be polite when you ask them though. This happened a long time ago, but I had this friend who was autistic, and when he had a meltdown he snatched my friend's laptop and threw it to the floor. Hard. But his parents paid for damages. Not the asshole. The parents should have been supervising better. It sounds like you handled it well thus far. Hopefully the parents handle it well. Whether on the spectrum or not, if handled with grace and kindness, I think should be fine.